Dim the lights, settle in, and prepare yourself for stories that will haunt your dreams and send shivers down your spine. Here at Tombstone, we delve into the darkest corners of the internet, unearthing chilling stories of the supernatural, the unexplained, and the downright terrifying. From shadowy figures lurking in the night to sinister secrets buried deep in forgotten history, each episode is crafted to immerse you in a world of fear and fascination. Hit that subscribe button, join our community of thrill seekers, and embark on a journey where every whisper could be a warning and every shadow a threat. Are you ready to face your fears? Then let the story time begin. The Nightly Terror. Nestled in the rugged northern fjords, the Viking village of Irholm stood as a beacon of resilience. Its people were hardy, their spirits forged in the crucible of harsh winters and unforgiving seas. Among them was Cap, a burly Viking warrior known for his fierce loyalty and unmatched prowess in battle. With long hair and a beard braided in the traditional style, Cap bore the scars of many battles, each one a testament to his bravery. For generations, Irholm had been a place of relative peace, its inhabitants living in harmony with their surroundings. But that peace was shattered one moonless night when a blood-curdling roar echoed through the village. The ground trembled under the weight of something massive approaching. Panic ensued as doors were bolted and children were hidden under beds. The creature that emerged from the shadows was a troll, towering and grotesque, with matted fur and eyes that gleamed with malevolence. The troll rampaged through the village, its claws snatching away anyone unfortunate enough to cross its path. By dawn, it was gone, leaving behind a trail of destruction and grief. Each night, the terror continued, with the troll returning to claim more victims. Fear took root in Irholm, and the villagers whispered of dark magic and ancient curses. In the midst of this chaos was Justin, the village seer. Draped in dark robes, his eyes clouded with the knowledge of things unseen, Justin would stand in the village square each night after the troll's attack. His predictions, however, were maddeningly vague. "The troll comes when the moon is high," he would say, or "beware the beast that takes from us." His words offered little comfort, and many villagers began to lose faith in his abilities. Cap, however, was not one to sit idly by while his home was torn apart. Each night, as the troll attacked, Cap stood ready with his sword and shield, but the beast was elusive, striking swiftly and retreating before anyone could organize a proper defense. The frustration gnawed at Cap. He had faced countless enemies, but this troll was different. It seemed to know their every move, evading traps and ambushes with ease. Cap began to suspect there was more to the troll's cunning than mere animal instinct. Days turned into weeks, and the nightly attacks showed no signs of stopping. The villagers grew more desperate, their numbers dwindling with each passing night. Cap's own family was not spared from the terror. His sister had been taken, her cries echoing in his mind. The need for action burned within him, but each attempt to hunt the troll ended in failure. The creature seemed to vanish into thin air, leaving no trace behind. One particularly dark night, after another fruitless attempt to catch the troll, Cap found himself face to face with Justin. The seer's eyes glowed eerily in the firelight, casting long shadows across his lined face. "The beast can be defeated," Justin intoned, his voice a rasping whisper, "but not by brute strength alone. You must use your wits, Cap." Frustration boiling over, Cap grabbed Justin by the collar. "Then tell me something useful, old man. How do I find this monster?" Justin's expression remained calm, his eyes unreadable. "Follow the river north. There you will find your answers." Determined, Cap set off early the next morning, following the river as Justin had instructed. The path was treacherous, winding through dense forests and over rocky outcrops. As he traveled, the forest seemed to close in around him, the air growing colder and more oppressive. The memory of the troll's attacks in Irholm haunted him. He could still hear the screams of his fellow villagers, the sickening crunch of bones, and the terrifying roar of the beast. He knew he had to put an end to it, not just for his own sake, but for the sake of his entire village. The thought of his sister, taken in the dead of night, spurred him on. As he journeyed deeper into the forest, Cap encountered signs of the troll's presence. Broken branches, deep gouges in tree trunks, and enormous footprints in the soft earth marked the creature's passage. The trail grew fresher, and Cap knew he was closing in on his quarry. His heart pounded with a mixture of fear and anticipation. One night, as he camped by the river, Cap heard a sound that sent chills down his spine. A low, guttural growl echoed through the trees, followed by the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps. He leapt to his feet, sword drawn, eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of movement. The growling grew louder, closer, until finally, the troll emerged from the shadows. It was even more terrifying up close. The creature towered over Cap, its eyes glowing with a malevolent intelligence. Its fur was matted with dirt and blood, and its claws gleamed in the moonlight. Cap steeled himself, ready to fight, but before he could strike, the troll lunged at him with lightning speed. Cap barely had time to react, dodging to the side and slashing at the troll's arm. The beast roared in pain, swinging its massive fist and sending Cap sprawling to the ground. Dazed, Cap struggled to his feet, but the troll was already upon him. Just as it seemed the end was near, a blinding flash of light filled the clearing, and the troll recoiled, howling in agony. Cap looked up to see Justin standing at the edge of the clearing, his hands raised and glowing with an otherworldly light. "The time has come," Justin said, his voice resonating with power. "We must end this now." Cap nodded, picking up his sword and standing beside Justin. The troll, still reeling from the seer's attack, backed away, snarling. Together, they pressed forward, driving the creature deeper into the forest. Cap's sword flashed in the moonlight as he struck blow after blow, while Justin chanted incantations, his magic weakening the troll with each word. Despite their combined efforts, the troll fought back fiercely. It was clear that this battle would not be easily won. Cap's strength began to wane, his arms growing heavy with fatigue. Justin's magic flickered, his face pale and strained. The troll, sensing their weakness, let out a triumphant roar and lunged at Cap with renewed fury. Cap braced himself for the impact, but before the troll could strike, Justin stepped forward, his hands glowing brighter than ever. "Now, Cap," he shouted. "Strike now with all your might." With a final, desperate surge of strength, Cap swung his sword, aiming for the troll's heart. The blade struck true, sinking deep into the creature's chest. The troll let out a deafening roar, thrashing wildly as it staggered back. Cap watched in awe as Justin raised his hands one last time, the light emanating from him blindingly bright. With a final, piercing scream, the troll collapsed, its body dissolving into mist. Cap stood in stunned silence, his sword still raised. The forest was eerily quiet, the only sound the labored breathing of the two men. Cap turned to Justin, expecting to see the seer triumphant, but instead found him on the ground, his body trembling. "The battle is won," Justin said weakly, his voice barely audible. "But the war is not over." Cap rushed to his side, supporting the seer as best he could. "What do you mean, Justin? The troll is dead. We've won." Justin shook his head, his eyes filled with sorrow. "There is another, Cap. Another troll stronger and more cunning than the first. It was the true mastermind behind the attacks. We must find it and destroy it, or our home will never be safe." Cap's heart sank at the news. He had hoped that this nightmare would finally be over, but it seemed their struggle was far from finished. "Where is this other troll?" he asked, his voice filled with determination. "I'll hunt it down and kill it, just like we did with this one." Justin's gaze turned toward the dark forest. It hides deeper in the woods, in a place where the light does not reach. We must go there and confront it, but be warned, Cap. This creature is far more dangerous than the one we just defeated." With Justin's guidance, Cap set off once more into the heart of the forest. The journey was arduous, the path overgrown and treacherous. The deeper they went, the darker it became, until even the moonlight could not penetrate the thick canopy above. The air grew colder, the trees twisted and gnarled, as if the very forest itself was trying to deter them from their quest. As they traveled, Justin shared more about the second troll. This creature was older, wiser, and far more malevolent than the first. It had been controlling the other troll, using it to weaken the village and spread fear. Cap listened intently, his resolve hardening with each word. He knew that this battle would be his greatest challenge yet, but he was determined to see it through. One night, as they camped in a small clearing, Justin spoke of a vision he had received. "The troll's lair is close," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "But it is guarded by dark magic. We must be careful, Cap. This creature will not be easily defeated." Cap nodded, his eyes scanning the shadows for any sign of danger. He had grown accustomed to the eerie sounds of the forest, but tonight, everything seemed different. The air was thick with tension, and the usual night sounds were absent, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. The next day, they finally reached the entrance to the troll's lair. It was a dark, foreboding cave, hidden behind a waterfall. The sound of rushing water filled the air, drowning out any other noise. Cap felt a chill run down his spine as he gazed into the darkness beyond. "We must be prepared," Justin said, his eyes serious. "This will be our most difficult battle yet. But if we succeed, our home will be safe." Cap took a deep breath, steeling himself for the fight ahead. "Let's end this," he said, stepping forward into the cave. The cave was pitch black, the air damp and musty. Cap's footsteps echoed off the stone walls as he made his way deeper into the darkness. Justin followed close behind, his hands glowing faintly with magical light. The tunnel twisted and turned, leading them ever deeper into the earth. After what felt like an eternity, they finally reached a large cavern. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and the sound of dripping water echoed through the space. In the center of the cavern stood the second troll, its massive form shrouded in shadow. Its eyes gleamed with malice as it stared at the intruders. "So, you've come to die?" the troll growled, its voice a deep rumble that shook the very ground beneath their feet. Cap stepped forward, his sword at the ready. "We've come to end your terror," he said, his voice steady. "Our home will no longer live in fear." The troll let out a booming laugh. "You think you can defeat me? You are nothing but a mere human. I am eternal. I am unstoppable." Justin stepped forward, his hands glowing brighter. "Not so eternal as you think," he said, his voice filled with power. "Together, we will destroy you." With a roar of rage, the troll lunged at them. Cap met the creature head-on, his sword flashing in the dim light. The troll's claws struck out, but Cap dodged, his movements swift and precise. Justin chanted incantations, his magic weaving around them like a protective shield. The battle was fierce, the cavern filled with the sounds of clashing steel and roars of fury. Cap fought with all his might, his sword striking blow after blow, but the troll was incredibly strong. It shrugged off his attacks, its eyes burning with hatred. Cap began to tire, his arms growing heavy with fatigue. Sensing his weakness, the troll struck with renewed ferocity, its claws slashing across Cap's chest. Cap cried out in pain, stumbling back. The troll loomed over him, its mouth twisted into a cruel grin. "You are weak," it sneered. "You cannot defeat me." Just as it seemed all hope was lost, a second troll emerged from the shadows. It was even larger than the first, its eyes burning with an otherworldly fire. Justin turned to Cap, his eyes filled with a mix of fear and determination. "Cap, you must flee. Now!" Cap hesitated, his instinct to fight warring with the realization that they were outmatched. "I can't leave you, Justin." Justin's eyes glowed brighter, his voice filled with urgency. "Go, Cap. Save yourself and warn the village. I will hold them off as long as I can." With a heavy heart, Cap turned and fled, his footsteps echoing through the dark tunnels. Behind him, he could hear the sounds of the battle, Justin's chants mingling with the trolls' roars. As he ran, tears streamed down his face. He knew that Justin's sacrifice would not be in vain. He had to survive and ensure that the village would be prepared for the coming storm. Cap burst out of the cave, gasping for breath. The forest around him seemed darker and more menacing than before. He stumbled through the undergrowth, the sounds of pursuit growing louder behind him. He knew he had to find shelter, somewhere he could regroup and plan his next move. As he ran, he spotted a small house nestled among the trees. Desperation drove him forward, and he burst through the door, slamming it shut behind him. The interior was dark and dusty, long abandoned. Cap searched frantically for anything that could be used as a weapon or a barricade. The trolls were not far behind. Their guttural growls and heavy footsteps sent chills down Cap's spine. He could hear them outside, sniffing the air, searching for him. The roof trembled under the weight of their massive bodies, and Cap knew it was only a matter of time before they found him. With a deafening crash, the roof was torn away, revealing the night sky and the hulking forms of the trolls. Cap's heart pounded in his chest as he grabbed a broken chair leg, ready to fight for his life. The trolls loomed over him, their eyes gleaming with malicious delight. Cap swung the chair leg with all his might, but it was a futile effort. The trolls swatted it away as if it were a mere twig, their laughter echoing through the forest. Cap knew he couldn't win this fight. He had to escape to survive until dawn. He bolted from the house, dodging the trolls' grasping claws. The forest was a blur as he ran, his lungs burning with exertion. The trolls were relentless, crashing through the trees in pursuit. Cap's only hope was to keep moving, to outlast them until the safety of daylight. As the hours dragged on, Cap's strength began to wane. He stumbled and fell, his body battered and bruised. The trolls were always just behind him, their presence a constant reminder of the danger he faced. Every time he thought he had lost them, they would reappear, their eyes glowing in the darkness. Cap found himself at the edge of a cliff, the sheer drop below offering no escape. He turned to face the trolls, his sword raised in a final act of defiance. But just as they closed in, the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon. The trolls recoiled, their bodies dissolving into mist as the sunlight touched them. Cap collapsed to the ground, his body trembling with exhaustion and relief. He had survived the night, but the cost had been high. Justin was gone, and the village was still in danger. He knew what he had to do. Cap returned to Irehome, his body weary but his spirit unbroken. The villagers greeted him with a mixture of relief and fear, their eyes searching for answers. Cap gathered them in the village square, his voice steady as he recounted the events of the night. "The trolls are still out there," he said, his gaze sweeping over the crowd. "Justin gave his life to save us, but the danger is not over. We must prepare ourselves for what is to come." The villagers nodded, their resolve hardening. They would fortify their homes, set traps, and stand ready to defend themselves. But as Cap spoke, he realized that his place was no longer in Irehome. The loss of his sister, the horrors he had faced, they had changed him. That night, as the village prepared for another attack, Cap packed his belongings. He left a note for the villagers, urging them to stay strong and united. With a heavy heart, he stepped out into the darkness, the forest closing in around him. Cap knew that his journey was far from over. The trolls would not rest until they had claimed all of Irehome, But he would not be there to see it. His path lay elsewhere, in search of peace and a new beginning. As he walked away from the village, the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon. Cap turned back one last time, his heart filled with a bittersweet resolve. Our home would survive, and so would he, but they would do so apart. And so, with the weight of his past heavy on his shoulders, Cap disappeared into the forest, leaving behind the village that had been his home, and the memories of a battle that had changed him forever.